Hi everybody, welcome back to part 2 of this Time to Volunteer training. In the first part you should have been able to set up your profile, your group or your organisation and your earn opportunity as well. So within this part we are going to go through the different elements that you might find yourself using if you are using the volunteer management side of the system. Obviously, if you do just want to continue using it as a shop front, that is absolutely fine. But for those of you who may have been looking out for a volunteer management system, or perhaps you're still using spreadsheets, this might be a good step up for you. So as always, we're going to start with going to manage my groups. We're going to go to this little manage button underneath my test organisation 1. And we can see here the group that we set up in that first part. So the group at the moment looks quite bare, and obviously when I started to set it up, I kept that quite minimal. But if I did want to go ahead and kind of flesh this out a little bit more, I could edit the group banner here and choose a photo. I could change my logo, and we can go back to that edit button and go back into this group wizard, which allows us to change and amend and add everything that we need to. So do make sure to do that so that your group profile is automatically recognised by people looking out for you. It just gives you a little bit of identification when people are looking for your logo. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to show you was how to partner with an organisation. So for a lot of you, you might want to partner with organisations because perhaps you have similar interests. It might be because you already share projects between you or share volunteers. It might just be that you're quite happy to endorse them. So to show you how to do this, you can see in this top banner here, there is the search bar. So I'm just going to search for Hull CVS. When we search within this banner, we are within B Collective. So that means that we're on the national side of the system. So you'll notice that things will come up for different localities. This won't happen when you search within Time2Volunteer because that is just local, but once you're in the B Collective system, the opportunities will open up. So you can change the locality over here and change how far the distance is that you're looking for. So here you can see you can filter by opportunities, you can filter by groups, and you can filter by events. For this, we want to filter by group. And you can see there our Hull CVS page comes up. So here is our Hull CVS page. So this is what a volunteer would see if they were looking. This is what you would see if you were part of a different organisation. So to request a partnership, we just go to these 3 dots here over in the right-hand corner and request partnership. So for me, it's going to be test organisation 1, and I want to partner with you because, you are the volunteer centre. Oh. So send request, and then what will happen is in our partners now, once Hull CVS has accepted my partnership, I should show up in this partners button. So if we go to partners, just so I can show you what this looks like. So Hull CVS obviously is the local volunteer centre, is partnered with quite a lot of organisations, so you wouldn't expect this many on your page probably. You probably tailor it down to something more akin to what you are already doing yourself, or the same causes, the same client group that you're looking after. But you can see here that if someone was to go onto our profile and look at who we're partnered with, they would see that these are people that we trust. So within that, they might decide, actually, if Hull CVS trusts these guys, I'm going to have a little look and see what else they've got going on. So they might think, oh, I want to learn more about citizens' advice. And then they'd look on citizens' advice opportunities. And again, we look at the partners that Citizens Advice have at the moment. They're just partnered with Time2Volunteer and Hull CVS. So at this point, if you do want to pause the video and go to join our partnership here. So type in Hull CVS into the search bar and then use those three dots to request that partnership. And if you can do the same for Time2Volunteer as well. So Time2Volunteer. Remember to change it to groups. Click on there and then the three dots and request partnership. Okay. So the other thing that this does is when you are starting to look at creating opportunities, it will ask you as one of the end, let me just get this up for you actually. So it will ask you at the end here who you would like to share this with. And obviously I'm not partnered with anyone at the moment, but all of your partnerships will come up here, so you can automatically click them and share the new opportunity with the partners that you have, which just means that they're able to push that opportunity out for you. It means that they become aware of it should they have any volunteers that they can share with you. It just makes that process a lot simpler and a lot easier. If you want to endorse opportunities as well, so endorsing an opportunity basically means that you are saying this is a great opportunity, you are recommending it. So let's go back to Hull CVS for this. I go to groups again, Hull CVS. So if I went to Hull CVS's opportunities and I saw, for example, mentor for Change, Grow, Live, and I thought actually that's a really great opportunity, I want more people to know about this, I could click on it and click this endorse button. So what that then does is this opportunity will then not only come up on Hull CVS's page, but it will come up on your own profile as well. So we can see this in practice within Hull CVS's opportunity page. So if I scroll down, obviously at the moment these are the opportunities we're pushing out there as the volunteer centre. So these are all ones that we have put onto Time2Volunteer ourselves. However, it's quite a few to get through, so I apologise. So here you can see that's not the Hull CVS logo, that is Community Links logo. So Community Links have asked us to endorse their opportunity here. And because we've clicked yes and we've said that we will endorse their opportunity, that is coming up on Hull CVS's page as well as their own page. Obviously, you don't need to endorse people's opportunities if you want your page to stay solely for your own roles. However, it is a great way to collaborate. It's a great way to celebrate volunteers, to share volunteers. So we would recommend endorsing opportunities that you think are worthy of that endorsement. Okay, so the next thing that I want to show you is how to manage your applications. So coming back into my test organisation, you'll see here I have 2 membership applications and 2 pending volunteer applications. So if I go to my opportunities and I go to manage and volunteers, you can see here that I have 2 pending opportunities, 2 pending application forms. So if I wanted to then pick up this one, let's say we can change this to reviewing, which just shows that I have picked this up, which is especially useful if there's more than one of you looking at these applications. So we'll click view, and then you can see here at the top you've got the opportunity to decline or approve this application. So I imagine that before any of this is approved or declined, you would probably email the person and make sure that they can come in for an interview. You would go through the interview process and you would then be able to approve or decline after that interview process. It might be that you don't have an interview process and it's a lot simpler than that. Just something to note is that if you do press decline, it does send quite a formal declining email. So this kind of looks like a you have been declined from this opportunity. Please look at other ones in the area. So you may want to follow that up with something like, these are the reasons why you have not been accepted for this opportunity. Please work on this if you would like to reapply, or here are some alternative suggestions, just to make that process a little bit nicer, because it can just be a little bit cold if it's a declining email that kind of comes from nowhere. So once you have gone through that process, you can obviously change these to background checks, interviewing, pre-approved. And then once somebody has been accepted, they will move from this applications part to approved. It might also be that you have certain forms and policies and procedures that you like to send out to your volunteers prior to the interview that you're kind of arranging with them. Obviously, you can send those in an email once you are inviting them to that interview. However, if you wanted the process to be a little bit more automated, remember you can use this volunteer brief function. So when you're creating your opportunity, and it gets to the volunteer brief section, you can add within here, for example, a map of the area. You might want to add kind of your volunteer agreement into here. You might want to add different forms around confidentiality agreements and things for them to fill out. So this volunteer brief would be sent to them once they had applied for the role. So that would automatically send and would mean that you wouldn't have to. Obviously, you can choose to leave this blank as well and just send them out via an email address as you would normally. So just to go back to our management of this opportunity, if you were looking for a certain type of volunteer, if you were looking for specific elements of your application form to be added, then within this add and post opportunity, within the edit function, when we go to application, you can see here that we've got the default form currently attached. However, you can customize this. So I'm just going to skip that. So when you click customize, it will show you what's already on the application form. And for a lot of people, this might be all you need for the application form, and you might ask further questions within the interview. However, if you are trying to shortlist more effectively, you might have other things that you want to add. So you can add new field. Obviously, there's these commonly used parts of the application form, or you can enter these generic fields and ask your own questions. So you would ask a question, and then perhaps you would need a paragraph answer under that. Perhaps you'd need a date or a date range as an answer. You may have multiple choice or the ability to toggle. Basically, you can just make this suit your needs. And then what I would recommend is adding that form to your forms, which is this button down here, which just makes it a template for all of your future applications, which can be found in this My Forms part here. You don't need to do that, of course, if you have different roles that require different questions. You might not need to save it as a template because you might change this every time. However, it can be really useful if you do have one standard application form. So I showed you previously how to create an opportunity which was flexible. It might be that if you are looking to utilise this system to its best ability, you may want to instead create a shift opportunity. So you can see here that I am not able to change this from a flexible to a shift. So that's the one thing that can't be edited about your opportunity. However, if we save and exit, what you can do instead, if we go back to all opportunities, is we can duplicate. So if it's exactly the same opportunity, all of the same information, the only difference is that for parts of it we need shifts in place, it's easier to just duplicate it. So might press duplicate, and then it goes into this drafts and pending part. So we'll edit. And for this, I'm going to put in here shift. And it's all the same other than the schedule. Oops. So the schedule here, we're going to change to shifts. And as you can see, it brings up this little calendar view, and you can put in here when you want your shifts for, how many positions you have, and whether you want to repeat the shift. So if we choose to repeat this shift once every week until March, so we'll save that. And then we can save and continue. So I'm just going to skip to share and create opportunity. So that opportunity is now jumped over to the active part. And you can see here, test community engager, test shift. So when someone is applying to that role, it will show up on Time2Volunteer as a shifted role. They will then get a little pop-up which asks them which of the shifts they would like to apply for. So they don't have to say that they're going to do every single Tuesday. They don't need to kind of only apply for one-offs. They can choose as many or as little as they want to do. And then you will get that application through which says what they would like to do. And you can then decide which ones you want to allocate to them. So just because they've said they can do every Tuesday apart from one in February, that doesn't mean that's what they're automatically getting. You might just decide that actually they just do the first Tuesday of the month. What I'd suggest is trying this out for yourself and getting somebody to apply for it for you, and then you can see that process in motion. If you want me to apply to any test opportunities for you, just let me know so that I can show you kind of that side of things. But yeah, that's as simple as making a shift one is. So in terms of these opportunities, when we went through the edit function and we were starting to create this, when we created a flexible shift, we popped in this enter more details part that it would be approximately 2 hours per week. We could instead choose that the hours are yet to be determined. However, because we've put 2 hours per week, the site is automatically going to create a timesheet for each person who's applied and been accepted to the role for 2 hours per week. So these timesheets after a week after will automatically be accepted. However, you can go in and alter what you believe somebody has done. So let me show you that, although I may need to go onto a different site to be able to do that. So within this volunteer activity part, we could look at timesheets people have given. Obviously, at the moment for this test site, we don't have any timesheets. However, it would normally say when they did it, who it was, what the opportunity was, and how many hours and minutes were logged. So if we have put 2 hours per week, it will say next week, it would say whatever date it is, Natalie did this opportunity for 2 hours, and if I didn't come in for that as the volunteer manager, I would be able to go in and say no, actually that's less than, so I would delete the 2 hours and I would put in 0 hours instead. Or if I did more, I could change that to 3 hours. So unfortunately, volunteers can't put in their own timesheets. It is all done by the volunteer manager at this end. So if you have those approximations coming through as timesheets, that makes it fairly easy. If you have clicked that you don't know what hours are going to be done, obviously that won't automatically approve. So if you want to add additional hours, you would go to members, and you would go to add extra hours. So within this extra hours, you can see here, Natalie. I'm going to choose an existing opportunity. I'm going to say that it was the 1st of September and that I did 2 hours. So they have now been added. So if I go to the volunteer activity now, I should be able to see under timesheets. Here we go. So this is what is generated when we retroactively put in our hours, but it's also what's generated automatically if we put in shifts or if we put in how many approximate hours will be done weekly. So you can see here, I can go in and change this to whatever I want and press done. One thing that has been asked of me is whether there's an ability to add members to this profile who are maybe tech averse, who maybe would not go through this system, you know, in the same way as perhaps their younger cohort would. What I would suggest for this, if you are wanting to still log people's hours, is you would need to create a profile for them. So it might be that you create a generic email address for your organisation and have them as first name generic, second name volunteer, and then you could retroactively add any hours to that person, to that profile. And you could either do this in bulk on behalf of all of the people who aren't on the system, or you could create profiles for everybody individually. So why that's important is because actually if you do want to make sure you're utilising the full benefits of this volunteer management system, then you want to be able to see how many hours your volunteers are doing over set periods of time. And we can do this within reports and exports. So if we go over to reports, you can see here that I've got one participating volunteer and they have logged 3 hours so far, and the social impact value is £29. So that's based on living wage at the moment. Obviously, you may decide to increase that that amount and make your own calculations, but it's quite a good base rate for you to work from. And you can see here that you can edit year to date, last calendar date, last financial year, or a specific date range. So if you are having to create reports, this is a great place to pull off that information. Of course, it's only going to be accurate if you yourself have been adding the data. If you've got any questions around that, do let me know, because that can be a little bit confusing. There is an element of detailed reporting. However, unfortunately, this is only available for Be Collective Plus members. So Be Collective Plus does allow a little bit more functionality, but it does come at a cost, of which we're not able to give because they do it on a case-by-case basis. But if you do want to inquire about that, do get in touch with Be Collective and ask kind of what details and what details they would need to give you that costing. So you can see here from detailed reporting, it looks at things like gender, age, the causes that your volunteers are interested in, the volunteer locations, which you can scroll in and out of. And that kind of gives you a little bit more background. The other thing though is if you did want to report on, say for example, how many volunteers have left, all you'd need to do is go to volunteer activity and have a look at past volunteers in here. If you wanted to see how many were active, how many declined, etc., you'd be able to do that as well. So there is the functionality there to report on a few different elements. It does just require you to be able to put in the data in the first place, or allow that that automatic procedure to happen when you're approximating the hours in that opportunity wizard that we first started with. One of the other elements that you may find really useful within this site is that you don't need to come out of here to contact your volunteers. You can message them within Be Collective. So you can see here at the top, there is the message group icon. So that just messages all your members, and members generally will be your staff members, your volunteer members, people who are following your group because they want to find out more. So that will give you the functionality to message everybody at once. If you want to just email everybody in one specific role, you can go onto your opportunities and go onto message here. So that will create a group chat, which you will be able to find in this little message icon here. You can also message members individually. So go to your members tab, and you should be able to just go to approved, message here. So as long as somebody's been approved, you'll be able to message them through that site there. If you want to go into your messages and create a new one, you can just search for users within this bar as well. Users should then get an email to say that they've got a message if they've got that set up in their settings. Otherwise, they would obviously need to come on to Be Collective to see that they've got a new message. So, another thing that you can do within within members, if we go to approved, is we can look at managing volunteers and adding any notes that we might want to add. So this doesn't show up on the member's profile, it just shows up for you. Custom fields is something that is only available via Be Collective Plus, but this details part might be something that comes in useful if perhaps you have matched them with a person, if you need to make a note that they shouldn't be working with a certain person or working with another volunteer. So it can be quite useful to keep information on here, and like I say, it's not available or accessible to see from anyone but yourself. So that's another thing that could be quite useful. If we go back into opportunities and we go to manage and we go to volunteers, you can see here under approved that there's also a option to give someone a testimonial. So testimonials basically are to tell people that they've done a good job, to give people feedback. So if we click here and choose the opportunity, you did a great job. So you might want to use this through Volunteer Appreciation Week. You might want to do it at the end of somebody's project or just when you've received feedback, and click done. So that's now come up in testimonials. So we can click off there. So for the volunteer, this will then show up in the notifications button here. So it'll show up in personal, it'll say you have been given a testimonial. I'll go to the dashboard and show you the social record here. So you can see here that we've got the test community engager role. So this is me as a volunteer now. So we're switching from being a volunteer manager to a volunteer. And we're seeing that in my social record, I have done 3 hours for this, and I've been given a testimonial of you did a great job. So well done, me. Not sure it counts when it's this much of a pat on the back, but we will then go to download CV and export PDF. And what this will do is this will bring up a, if it does it, this will bring up a social resume that people can then use to show to employers, to education places, which shows that they have a vested interest in the causes that they've been doing, they've got experience, and they've got the testimonials to prove it. So let me just bring that up. So as you can see here, if the person has filled out their profile, they will have their own picture there rather than a picture of a mustachioed man. It will show what volunteering they've done, the skills and experiences that they've gained through that. And this is automatically pulled through from that opportunity that you have created, how many volunteer hours they've done, and there's the little testimonial there. So it's a really great way to make sure that our volunteers are being celebrated, are being appreciated, so that we can make sure that they go on to greater things. So if we go back onto Be Collective and we go back onto Manage My Groups, manage. So one of the last things that I want to show you is the documents and links. So documents and links is a place that is accessible from the public. So please don't put anything in here that is confidential. Everything that comes through can be seen by anybody. However, what we do want you to put in here would be your volunteer policy, your volunteer agreement, your safeguarding policy and procedure, your equality and diversity policy and procedure, and your problem solving procedure as well, or complaints procedure. So if you can pop these in here, once we have seen those, please do give us an email once you've populated your documents and links to let us know that those 5 elements are in there. Once we've seen that, that means that we can auto-endorse any opportunities that you put on the profile. Basically, that just means that they will automatically show up on Time2Volunteer. So until we've seen those 5 documents, we're not able to auto-endorse, because what we want to do is make sure that the volunteering organisations that we're sending people to are safe, are developing their best practice, and are supporting their volunteers in the best way possible. So please do pop those in there. And that is basically everything for now. What I would say is just have a play about with the site, see what works for you, see what maybe doesn't work for you. If you want to talk through anything, then please let me know. We're here to support and to make sure that this works for your organisation. So please do let us know if anything doesn't quite make sense from this very quick walkthrough. Hopefully you've been able to kind of pause at certain points and have a play with it yourself. But yeah, that is the Be Collective system behind Time2Volunteer. Please do follow our socials. So we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we're on LinkedIn. So please do follow our socials and push them out there for us, so that we can get as many people as possible on Time2Volunteer. Yeah, that's everything for today. Thank you for watching. Hopefully that's been really helpful. If it hasn't, I apologise. Please do get in touch so that I can explain things a little bit better. All right, thank you.